Great day to you, New Direction. Great God bless you to all of you. May God continue to bless you on today. Today is an amazing day. This is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. And this is a great day for a New Direction. So welcome. Thank you so much for setting time aside to worship with us on the line as we are seeking to draw closer to God, get closer to Him in ways that we have not before. And we pray that there is something that is said on today that will ignite you to become more committed as a disciple, that will spark growth on the inside of you. And if you're watching today and you have not made Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, it is our prayer that there is something that is shared today that will cause you to look introspectively and to make a personal decision to receive Christ as Savior and the Lord of your life. I want to just take a moment to again greet you. Thank you so much for your willingness to be here online. I wish we could be in person. That day will be coming very soon. But in the interim, I thought it would be appropriate for me to just say hello to you, just to let you know that we really value your presence online. But also to those who are members of New Direction, I want to say also I miss all of you so much. I can't wait for the day that I can actually not only just see you, but also just hug you. We've been seeing each other virtually. Bible study and to other events that we've had online. And it has been great. It has been great to be able to see you on the screen, but it's that much more impactful when I'm able to see you in person and to fist bump you, to give hugs and to high five and to laugh and to giggle. So I look forward to those days. I long for those days. And those days are coming. Those days are coming. So for those who have not received a vaccine, I want to encourage you to do your research, to do your due diligence in looking up the information in terms of the effects of the vaccine, the pros and the cons, where you can get the vaccine, the locations that are designated for vaccinating the individuals of the community. I want to encourage you to do that. Do your due diligence. Of course, we can't make you do anything. We can't. We're not swaying you to get it or not to get it, but I want you to do your due diligence and look up the information for yourself and make a very informed decision and do what's best and what is safe for you and your family and the people that you care about. So I just wanted to say that. As for me and my house, we are going through the process of the vaccination. I'm in step one. I've already had one shot. There's one more for me to go. So I'm praying that for others who are making that decision, that you move rather quickly. Put your name on the waiting list if you have not done so. And for others, please continue to follow the safety measures that are in place. Continuously, please wear your mask. Always think about other people. Although you may feel like I don't have it, I am safe. There could be a chance that you just have a dynamic immune system, and the Lord has blessed you tremendously. And that you could be a carrier but not know it because God has just favored you that much. But that may not be the case for other people. So I want you to be diligent and also caring about the environment that you're in. And although I may feel great, it's not to say or to mean that I am totally safe. So I want you to be mindful of those who are around you in restaurants and retail stores, barbecues that you may attend this summer. So please wear the mask. Wear the mask. I want to encourage you to please wear the mask. So that's what I wanted to say and to encourage you. And while I have your attention, we're in this season where we are approaching one of the most dynamic celebratory moments of our Christian experience, which is Resurrection Sunday. We're getting close to Resurrection Sunday. And I would equate this, as I've shared with my son and I've shared with some other people. Resurrection Sunday is like the Super Bowl for Christianity. This is the moment that we really celebrate. This is our apex where we get excited, remembering and reflecting on and celebrating the fact that Jesus Christ came and that he rose from the dead and that death could not hold him down. So we celebrate those moments. And so we're getting very close to Palm Sunday. Palm Sunday will be this Sunday coming up next week, which is the 27th. Can you believe it? We are back at Palm Sunday already. And so I want to encourage you that if you would like to participate in Palm Sunday, I want to invite you to meet me here on Saturday, March the 27th, where you can receive your palm. Now, generally, we would pass them out during service or right after service when we were in person. So we don't have that luxury to be able to do this and send it to you upon virtually. But what I will do is make myself available to be here at the sanctuary to receive you on that Saturday, March the 27th, from 12 to 1, just 1 hour. I will be here for just 1 hour to make sure that you have your palm so that you can do what you traditionally do, whether it's put it across your dashboard in your car or the back window of your car. Some make it into crosses and put it dangling from their rear view mirror. However you want to do it, whatever is traditional for you and your family to reflect and to remember what Christ did on Palm Sunday. I want to invite you to again meet me here. When are you going to meet me? Saturday. Saturday when? March the 27th from 12 noon to 1. From 12 noon to 1. So I'll look forward to seeing you masked up with your gloves on to be able to receive your palm. I won't hold you long. I probably want to look at you and talk for like a few seconds, and then I'm going to release you to go. I just want to be able to see you and see how you're doing. So I'll be here to receive you. So I look forward to seeing you on this Saturday so that you'll have your palm as we're going right into Palm Sunday that next day. And so while we're at home or while we're in our kitchen or while we're in our living room or while we're in our bed, we could just be waving our palms on Palm Sunday during service. But also, there's another reason to celebrate. On next Sunday, this is the Sunday that we celebrate 9 years of being together as a church. It is our 9-year anniversary, our 9-year birthday, our 9-year celebration, where we will come together and just say, God, thank you so much for what you have done and your grace and your mercy that have showered upon us for 9 long years. That you have been amazing every single step of the way. So for 9 years, we'll be celebrating one another. And we'll also be taking a moment to give honor to those who have been with us. There were 4 individuals who've been with us in our journey during this 9 years that have been promoted to heaven. And so we'll be taking a moment to observe and to celebrate their life, which will be out in Spain, which will also be my aunt, Corey. Also, we'll be celebrating Pops, Daniel Johnson. Everybody loves Pops, Daniel Johnson. And then we'll also be celebrating one of NBC's, one of his greatest unkept, unspoken secrets, which was Anthony Corey, who has gone also to be in heaven and been promoted. He's with the Lord and the angels. So we'll be celebrating their life as we're celebrating for the contributions that they have made to New Direction, because without these dynamic 4 individuals that God had placed in our path, placed in our life to help set direction and course for NBC, we would not have made it to 9 years. Absent of those 4 dynamic individuals. So we'll be celebrating Alton and Cora and Pops as well as Anthony on next Sunday as well during our celebration. So thank you so much in advance for being here. I would like to take a moment now to draw your attention to the scripture. All right. So let's go ahead and get your Bible. Let's take a moment to just go ahead and transition and get your Bible. So if you have a hardcover Bible or if you have an electronic Bible on another device, I'm going to go ahead and get you to do that. We're going to go right back to where we was on last week. We're going to pick up at 2 Kings chapter 7. I hope that's okay. 2 Kings chapter 7. 2 Kings chapter 7. All right. And as we're going there, I want to just say hello to Master Chief Cord. Master Chief, God bless you. To Ronette and George. They're actually in the vehicle right now. They're traveling, but as they're traveling, they're watching right now. Hello, Nayaka. God bless you to you. To the Fenwicks, to Melvin and Shantae. God bless you. To Imogene. God bless you, Mama. To Mama Nadine. And to those who are in Costa Rica, we say hello to you, Costa Rica. Oh, God bless you to you. Those who are in Houston, to our extended family that is there, we say God bless you to you. Cookie and Derek, we say hello to our sister, our new sister that is in Fredericksburg. We say hello to you also, Dominic. God bless you to you. And to also Shadea. God bless you, Shadea. Brother Walker is here, a.k.a. Brother Bill. God bless you. Dan Johnson, DJ. He is the incarnation of Pops. He is Pops' twin. He is a before and after. He is literally a youthful picture of Pops. You hear me? Look just like him. So great. God bless you to you, DJ. We call him DJ. Dan Jr. He's an amazing man. So God bless you to you. To see you, Alonda and Montez. Mama Darlene, God bless you to you. Jeanette is here with us today. God bless you, Jeanette. Peaches, y'all remember Peaches? We haven't seen Peaches in a long time. Peaches is still out there. Peaches is still crazy. Peaches is still off the hook. Yeah, but So God, please be praying for Peaches. Everybody pray for Peaches, aka Alondra. She is taking up the mantle as
the new comedian of New Direction. She is the Tiffany Haddish of Christianity. So you want to pray for Alondria. Great God bless you to that. Keep lifting her up and pray. Great God bless you to you, Grandma Henderson and Aunt Chrissy, and to my mom in love, Robin. Great God bless you, Mama Robin, and to the Ivy family. Oh, great God bless you, Karen Wilkins is in the place. Heart for God, representing Heart for God. To the Ivies, you know, they are all hands in, all hands on deck as they are taking care of Yema, and she is keeping them on their toes. And it is a great, awesome responsibility to be raising up a queen in training, a princess that is now in the realm, and she is being raised as a queen in training. So we pray for the strength and the vitality and the fortitude and the wisdom for Stephanie and Stephen as they are raising this dynamic queen. To B. Smith, God bless you, sister. Also to Keisha Bostic. Oh, you guys, I can't wait for you guys to see Keisha Bostic in person. She has a dynamic, and I mean a dynamic testimony of how God moved in 2020. And so there's some things that have happened that we're just not aware because we're so disjointed in different places. But when we're all able to come together in person, we may just have a service that's just strictly just set aside for testimonies. All right, we're still going to 2 Kings chapter 7. I didn't forget, but I just wanted to say hello to some folks because I'm just feeling very extroverted today. I really just feel like I really need to be connecting with people. I'm missing hugs. I'm missing the touch of people. I'm very kinesic. I'm missing folks in a major way. So great God bless you. Also, who else do we have here? Kendra Jones. Great God bless you, Kendra Jones. She's doing an amazing job. Shout out to Kendra Jones, who is one of our dynamic healthcare workers. She is working, I believe, in Howard University, also with Alonda, who is at GW. They're doing some dynamic work. They have been, since day one, since the same time last year, they have been putting themselves in very tough and difficult situations to provide care to those who have been impacted by multiple illnesses, but also putting themselves at risk in being around those who may have been exposed to COVID-19 and have served individuals with COVID-19. So these individuals, definitely we'll be celebrating them on next week with their dedication and their diligence to look beyond themselves and see a personal sacrifice to serve and to give and to commit themselves to care for health-wise for these individuals. So great God bless you to you. To Brother Channon and his wife, Kiana. They're doing some amazing things. So please, you want to stay in touch with Channon. Channon is on fire. Channon has been doing some on the side mentoring. He's been doing coaching with the Little Leagues. He's been encouraging couples. He's been encouraging individuals. So God has been using him in dynamic ways. His wife has just been making way out of no way, helping families realize their dreams and becoming homeowners. So there's a lot. There's a plethora of things that are happening all around us within the body of Christ. And we said around the same time last year, shame on you that while we're in this COVID season, that when this COVID season will end, and it will, that you had remained the same throughout that entire time. If you didn't come out smarter, if you didn't come out wiser, if you didn't come out better, then that is not a result of the lack of opportunities that God has given you. It's a lack of opportunities that you were willing to take. And so I'm encouraging you that while we still have time and while we still have breath in our bodies, regardless of the situations that we're in, there is still a demand for you to step forward and to do what God has called you to do. All right. And let's just start with looking at 2 Kings. I'm finally going to get there. 2 Kings chapter 7. Finally, 2 Kings chapter 7. And we're just going to look at one verse. We'll look at verse 3. We'll look at verse 3, if that's all right. I want to say also, great God bless you to Uncle Boo. He's also in Jacksonville, Florida. He's representing the southern tip of what we call the basement of the United States. He's down in Florida. He's in the basement. He is in the sunshine state, the relaxing retirement. Kick your feet up and wallow in the sun state. He is in there. So great God bless you to Uncle Raymond. We call him Uncle Boo. Is Jasmine's uncle. So and celebrate him as well. All right, so let's go ahead and go to 2 Kings chapter 7. We'll just read one verse, verse 3. And it reads, now there were 4 leprous men at the entrance of the gate, and they said to one another, why are we sitting here until we die? Again, verse 3, New King James Version, 2 Kings chapter 7, verse 3 states, Now there were 4 leprous men at the entrance of the gate, and they said to one another, why are we sitting here until we die? So that's a very probing question. That's a very probing question. Today we're going to pick up from our subject from last week. We're doing a part 2, nothing to lose, part 2, as we're coming in on the back of walking through 2 Kings chapter 6, which leads us to chapter 7, which now escorts us into this verse where there are 4 leprous men who has to make a decision. They are in a very unique moment in their life, and they have to make a decision. And it starts with them raising this question: how long will we sit here until we die? How long will we sit here until we die? Again, we're talking about nothing to lose. In the classic of, there's a classic novel that was written in 1859, a classic novel, one of the most best-selling novels of all time, one of the most quoted novels of all time, right? In 1859, there was a novel written by Charles Dickens, and Charles Dickens wrote a book entitled A Tale of Two Cities. And he starts the chapter of A Tale of Two Cities with this opening popularized statement, which is, it was the best of times and it was the worst of times. It was an age of wisdom and it was an age of foolishness. It was a spring of hope and it was the winter of despair. And he goes on sharing these 2 dichotomies of how, although things are going positive in one aspect of living during that time, there is also a negative component happening at the same exact time. And although it is good to quote, and although it is good to be able to put on as a moniker, it is good to be able to put it on a shirt. It is the best and worst of times. It is good to use it as an opener for a motivational speech. But it is also truth in terms into the times of which we're living in. And although it was relative in the times of 1859 when he wrote it, it is also relevant to the times in which we live in right now, right in the center of this pandemic. It is the best of times, but it is also the worst of times. It is one of those moments that it is the age of wisdom, that people are functioning and operating with knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. But then there is also an age where people are functioning and making decisions out of foolishness. It is also the time where it is springing up of hope, and it is also a moment in a season where it is a winter of despair. So we have these 2 polarities that are existing. On one hand, people that you know that are around you, there are some that are extremely depressed and disengaged. And then on the other hand, you have other people who are around you who are the most enthusiastic that they have ever been in their entire life. And this is all happening around a global crisis. And now you see that there are 2 polarities that are happening all around you. There are some people who are doing very bad financially and skating on the lines of poverty. And then there are some people who has exploded financially during this COVID season and doing extremely well. Some people have lost their homes and gone into foreclosure in the pandemic, and some people have become new homeowners in the pandemic. You have some people who have lost their jobs and have been laid off and furloughed, and there's some people who have started businesses or been promoted to directors or been promoted to vice president. You have 2 dichotomies that are happening all at the same time in a crisis. And here we are finding ourselves living in the middle of 2 polarities. This is the best moments of our life, but it is also holding the hands of the worst moments of our life. We are living into extreme times, and we find ourselves now living in between 2 places. Because on one day I can be feeling really excited and optimistic, and then the next day or within that same day, I can be feeling very discouraged and feeling full of despair. So we find ourselves living in between 2 places. Which brings us to 2 Kings chapter 7. In this moment for Israel, they're experiencing a famine, an extreme famine. And in the city of Samaria, it is provoked by the Syrian army surrounding the city, completely surrounding the city. They have made it such an obstacle so that nothing can go into Samaria and nothing can come out. They had literally besieged the city. And it is making it very difficult for food to get in, for messengers to go out. Israel cannot even reach out to their allies to ask for support. They're being surrounded by the Syrians. That was one of the most dynamic and one of the most profitable and most successful attempts that one would take in warfare to really shut down the resources of their adversary or their opponent. And this is now finding itself to be pretty successful on the behalf of the Syrian army. The Syrians are saying, listen, we're ready to attack, but we want to make sure that they have depleted all of their resources, that their soldiers are completely hungry, almost to the point that they have now gotten to the point they're ready to give up. But what is interesting, chapter 7 moves away from what is happening in the city to talking about what is happening right on the outside of the gate. It opens up with chapter 7 talking about what the prophet had said. The man of God, Elisha, stood before the king and says, listen, around the same time on tomorrow, and though we're experiencing a famine, wheat and barley shall be sold at a very affordable cost. Around the same time on tomorrow. Interesting enough. And so the one who was there, who stood as the commander or the officer or the adjutant or the assistant and armor bearer to the king, listened to the word of the Lord and this prophecy and said, this sounds crazy. That even if God was able to open up the windows of heaven, I just still can't see how the economy can be turned upside down. I just don't see how something great can come out of a crisis, out of this situation that we're in. We're in a Great Depression for us who are here in Samaria. And I just don't see our inflation has gone through the roof. Homes are going bad. People have resorted to cannibalism because they have no food to eat. This is a dire situation. And you're talking about that on this same time tomorrow, God is going to flip the switch and things will go back to normal in a moment's notice. He says, man, I can't get with that. And the prophet looks at this assistant, the one that supports the king. He says, listen, trust me, on tomorrow, you will see it, but you won't be able to participate in that which you see. Right? And I told you on this last week, we're going to get to that point, but I want you to hold on to that. So there it moves then, the writer then moves to bringing this attention to zeroing in what is happening on the outside of the gate of the city. Remember, I want you to use your imagination for a moment, and let's now pick up geographically what is happening. There is a city named Samaria. And the city is surrounded by walls and gates. Outside of that, there is a ring that surrounds the entire city of Samaria with thousands of Syrian soldiers to enforce. They are there to enforce that nothing is being taken in and nothing is coming out. They are surrounding them. They're starving them out and waiting for the appropriate moment to attack. Now, they're not right up on the gate. They're at a distance, far enough that you can see at night, you can see little small campfires at a distance in the woods. As you look across, as you stand on the wall in Samaria and look across the landscape from east to west, you can see little small fires at night all around the entire city. And then during the day, you can see very, 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 very small men at a distance standing there with their spears and their shields, shoulder to shoulder, day and night, day and night. But as you look down the wall on the outside of the city, there are disconnected, disenfranchised, marginalized people, which are those who have diseases and those who are suffering from ailments or those who are handicapped, disabled individuals. And there is a particular group that are there that are willing to make a decision to do something different. The writer then moves from being from the inside and focuses attention on the 4 leprous men who were sitting outside of the gate. They're sitting there and they're having a conversation amongst themselves. Now, before I get into the conversation, I think it is very noteworthy for us to understand the culture that is happening in this moment. Historically, when a person suffered from this debilitating disease and this life-altering and ultimately leading to death disease, leprosy, they would find themselves walking through the city, covering their face if they were able to go through certain parts, or when someone had approached and came into their space, they had to have their nose and their mouth covered, and they have to yell out, "I'm unclean. I'm unclean. I'm unclean. I'm unholy. I'm unclean. You can't come around me. I got issues." And every time someone came into their space, they have to testify, "I got a problem." That every time they came around somebody, they have to relive the fact, "I'm going through a scenario. I'm going through a circumstance. I'm going through a tough moment in my life. I'm going through a situation, and you cannot be a part of my life." Regardless if they had a wife, regardless if they had a husband, regardless if they had a kid, regardless if they had an occupation, they were forced to leave their life and go into a new pattern where they're not accepted within the walls where everybody else was. They were kicked on the outside of these boundaries and had to fend for themselves. They had to find a way to make it. And oftentimes, they were only able to make it off of the generosity of others by people giving them a handout. And so for every single day, every time someone came near them, they had to testify, "I'm unclean." Every day they had to testify and relive their pain. Every single day they had to keep telling their story over and over and over again of how unworthy they were, and how people can't come in their space, and how they can't be trusted. "You can't come around me. I'm dangerous. You come around me, I'm going to hurt you. You come around me, you can be infected. You come around me, your life will be changed. You come around me, things will happen for you that I cannot explain, that I don't want for your life." And so everybody had to be kept at a distance. But these 4 men who had something very common, regardless of their genders, regardless of their ethnicity, regardless of their background, regardless of their economic past, they all had this one thing in common. They were all marginalized. They were all disliked. They were all pushed to the outside, beyond the boundaries where everybody else functioned in. In the confines of these walls that were behind them, they were forced to live on a whole nother level. And they find security in themselves. And as they were sitting there, they realized that when we make decisions, we got to make decisions that is best for us together. That if we're going to do this, we need to make the right decision moving forward. So they sat there, realizing that inside the walls, it is bad. So bad that food is so scarce that people were resorting to eating donkey heads. It was so bad that people had to resort to eating pigeon or dove droppings as side dishes and condiments. It is that bad that food is that scarce. And so we have to make a decision. If it is that bad for them on the inside, how dire is it for us out here? Because again, we relied on people on the inside to take care of us who's on the outside. And whatever they were willing to let go, that's what we found ourselves being sustained of. But in this moment, ain't nobody letting go of nothing. In this moment, nobody is taking care of us. So we have to make a hard decision. That while we're living in these difficult moments, we have to come to a place where we have to decide. Interesting, the verse says they said to one another. It wasn't just one person saying this to all the other 3. The verse says they said to one another, "Why do we sit here until we die?" They started saying this to everybody else. They all said to one another, "Why are we sitting? Yeah, you know what? Why are we sitting here until we die?" They started raising a very interesting question. Why? Why are we sitting here? They're looking at each other. We need to justify and give logic to, why am I sitting here waiting for somebody to come from outside, from the inside these walls and take care of us? Why am I sitting here waiting for the individuals that kicked us out, that didn't even want us in the first place, the ones that have disowned us in the first place? Why am I depending on somebody and people from my past to come into my present and to do for me what they weren't willing to do when they had the chance? Why am I worried about that? Why? What is the justification in all of this? What is the reasoning for us? And they started asking, why? Why are we going to sit until we die? Why? And they're raising this. What's the logic? Because if we go back, there is famine. There are problems. If we go back, we're going to die. If we sit here and do nothing, we're going to die. But as they look over the hills, over into the plateau, closer towards the valley, they can see the Syrian army encamped all around. They says, listen, well, if we go into the Syrian camp, if we go over there, at least it's a possibility they may show mercy to us. And if they show mercy to us, at least we have a chance to live. But if they don't show mercy, then we'll die. So we have three options. And they're sitting there saying amongst themselves, why do we sit here until we die? Why sit here? Why be idle? Why procrastinate? Why sit here and dream? Why sit here and talk about the good old days? Why sit here and always fathom what could be, what should have been, and what I could have done if I had the better opportunity? Why sit here and go over all of this day after day and moment? Why am I losing moments talking about sitting here and waiting for the inevitable? Why am I waiting for crisis to come? I'm already in the crisis, and why will I wait for the most dismal moment to come in my life? Why would I just sit here and do nothing? Why would I do that? And so they realize I got three options. I can go back and try to beg for them to accept us and let us in under these unusual circumstances, or we can sit here, option number 2, do nothing and starve to death. Or option 3, take our chances and move forward, going into the enemy's camp, and maybe when we approach the enemy, maybe the enemy will show us mercy and we have a chance to live. But if he doesn't, we can die. So either way, all three options have the possibility of death. Going back, death. Staying here, death. But the last option, moving forward, there's a possibility that I can be in one of those two polarities. I could either live with that decision or I may die by that decision. And the math shows I have a better probability of living moving forward than I do sitting here doing nothing or going back to what I used to be and the people that used to be around me. So we have to make a decision. So here's something that I want you to know and something that I want you to write down. 3 things. Number 1, going back is painful. Going back is painful. Going back is painful. Number 2, staying here, sitting here is predictable. Going back, number 1, is painful. Number 2, sitting here is predictable. I need you to write that down. Going back is painful. Number 2, sitting here is predictable. But number 3, going ahead has possibilities. I want to make this as relative and applicable as it can be. We are all at a moment where we're caught in between two places. You can either sit in the context of where you are right now, and it is so unique to you. You are being forced to choose. Your life has crescendoed and apex to this moment that there is a decision that is demanded of you. You're going to have to choose one of these 3 options. Either you're going to choose to go back and die in that, because that past is painful. You can sit where you are, be idle, make excuses, procrastinate, keep putting it off, and do nothing but be a dreamer and a talker and never a doer, and stay right there. And when it's imminent, it's predictable, you're going to die. Or I can make the decision to move forward and take my chances with my choice can either lead to me living or it can lead to me dying. But either way, it has a better probability if I move forward. Here's the thing. Many of you don't want to make a decision. What may seem clear-cut to many is very hard and arduous for most, that you have to make a decision. Now, some of you may say, well, I don't know what to choose. I ain't going to choose nothing right now. Not choosing anything is making a choice. So no matter which way you go, you're going to have to make a decision. It is making a demand for you to decide. You have an enemy in front of you. You have pain behind you. You have your past behind you. Your enemy in front of you don't want you. The people behind you don't want you. A situation, circumstance that you came from doesn't want you. You can't think that you're going to sit where you are, being in the middle and neutral, and that you will thrive. You cannot thrive in neutrality. You cannot do that. It's not going to happen. Thinking that you can't make it, I don't have to make a decision. I'm going to just sit here and kind of see how it unfolds. That is predictable, and it is imminent death. You're going to have to make a decision. It's been over a year. It's been over a year since we talked about this. You're going to have to make a decision. And I want to say this loud and clear. Moving forward, you have nothing to lose. What do you mean you have nothing to lose? Well, for the person who said, I've been looking for love for the longest time. I've been looking for someone to love me. Well, because you don't see any options all around you right now outside of this gate, there is a temptation for you to want to go back to where you came from. The people don't necessarily want me. Yeah, they treat me like I'm second class. Yes, they give me their scraps. They give me their leftover time, their leftover money, their leftover energy, their leftover food, their leftover conversation. But it's better than dying. At least I don't have to be by myself anymore. At least I have somebody to talk to. And yes, I'm not their first choice, but at least I'm an option. At least I can be a sloppy second. At least I can be a backup chick. At least I can be the backup brother. At least I have somebody that when they get tired of their first option, when they get tired of their number one, their boo or their babe, at least when their babe get tired, at least they're coming to me and I got enough energy to sustain them until they get tired of me and go back to their first choice. I have to do better than being a leper that is looking back. I got to be willing to be bold enough, courageous enough to move forward. Or I could just be like the business-minded individual who is anointed to be an entrepreneur, anointedpreneur in this moment. I could have all of these dreams. I could sit here in my living room and sit there in my kitchen. I could sit there across the counter and just sit there and talk to my family as they're cooking, talking about these business ideas that I have and what could work and how we can benefit the community and how we can benefit our race and how we can uplift the things that are happening in our communities, but also we can change our financial narrative for not only just my family, but the generations that come after us that bear our name. I can sit here and talk and dream all day, but the minute it's time for me to put some paper onto the process or for me to put some action to my ideas, I pull back and say, well, you know what if I step out there and I don't have any clientele? What if I do this and it don't work? What if I do this and it don't succeed? Well, let me just give you a thought to consider. Well, when you look back, what did you do on yesterday? You didn't make a profit on yesterday. Well, sitting there being a dreamer and never putting no action to those dreams and never really establishing any goals, any metrics or any benchmarks and just sitting there just being a talker, you ain't gonna create no profit then. But what if I step out and actually try it? And what if it fails when I try? Okay, I ain't lose nothing, but there is a probability. What if I make a profit of $1 more? It was more than what I had on my yesterday when I was a dreamer. It was more than what I had today by procrastinating, but I will have something that I can look forward to if I just step out and move forward. Can you please text somebody that is in your family and say, please be willing to move out? Come on, let's move out. Let's just move forward. Let's move forward. Let's just do this. Let's do this. It's time. It's time for us to stop being talkers. It's time for us to be doers. It's not just enough for us to be dreamers. At some point, dreamers, you gotta wake up. At some point, the alarm is gonna go off. And stop saying, listen, that dream was so good, I want to snooze it and try to get right back into that dream. And the problem is, many of us have had good dreams, but not many of us are willing to wake up from those dreams and live out what we saw revealed to us. Stop hitting the snooze button and make a decision to move forward. I hope I'm helping somebody today. And I'm talking to myself. I got to be willing to just do something different. I got to be willing to move forward because I lose nothing making a decision to step forward. But why sit here? Why have the downward negative passive posture until I die? Why intentionally position myself in a seated position of idleness until I die? Why make the conscious choice to be idle until the imminent happens? Why? The problem is I've been allowing my past to dictate my present, which have marred my future. Because the people behind me, in the walls, in their boundaries, told me I wasn't worth nothing. They told me I would not be successful. They told me that nothing great was going to happen. They led me to believe that I had nothing to look forward to, but other than receiving their leftovers. I am much more than somebody's sloppy seconds. But because I had received it so consistently, I bought into it. Because it didn't work for others, I thought it wasn't going to work for me. Because I didn't see it happening in that moment, I thought it wasn't going to happen. Because it didn't happen in my past, I just assumed that it wouldn't happen in my present. And if it didn't happen in my present, 2 out of 3 makes me think that it's not going to happen in my future either. But I have to be willing to disengage from what has taught me in my past, what has been cultivated in my present, and make a decision to change the dynamics and the landscape of my future. I have to be willing to do that. Here's the thing that you're going to have to get, of which the 4 leprous men got. Here's another point. No one is coming for you. Write that down. There is nobody coming outside of these walls that's going to feed me anymore. There is nobody coming outside these walls that's going to save me, clothe me, take care of me, encourage me, push me, give me something to drink. There's nobody coming, excuse me, there's nobody coming to help me, encourage me, assist me, push me, catapult me. It's not. We have to make a decision at this stage, at this moment. Let's go. This is it. This is it. If there's ever been a moment, in a moment of crisis, this is it. My life can be defined of how I choose in this moment of crisis. My life, my future, my family, the generations after me will be defined how I respond in the moment of this crisis. My history will not be I sat and did nothing. When they look back and they ask you 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, how was things during that pandemic? What did you do in that year and a half or those 2 years that they were in a pandemic? How did you manage your time? How did you live your life? What decisions did you make? What did you do different? Oh, I just sat around. I watched more Netflix than I've ever watched in my life. Oh, I made more calls than I ever did in my life. I created more posts on social media than I ever did in my life. What will you account for the time that God has given you to try something? We had one of the most dynamic opportunities given to humanity to do something that you've always dreamed about, and you only stayed in that dreaming stage and never put any feet to it, never put any action to it, never put any goals to it. All you did was still kept dreaming and hitting snooze. Month after month, I kept hitting snooze. Month after month, I kept hitting snooze. But this is the moment that will define your life moving forward. What shall you do even in this crisis? We are in the best of times and we are in the worst of times. Charles Dickens would say, you better jump on it. You better make something happen. You need to pull that trigger. What good is it for you to have good aim, but you don't know when to pull the trigger? I can't hear you. I said, I can't hear you. What good is it? What good is it to have good aim, but don't know when to pull the trigger? What good is it to have all these ideas and you ain't put no action to it? No one is impressed by the fact that you can carry a loaded weapon. No one has ever been afraid of someone who carries a weapon. They're afraid of a person who's willing to shoot it. Hello. Yes. So you can talk about what you possess. You can talk about what your potential is. You can talk about what you carry as much as you want. But ain't nobody moved. Ain't nobody impressed by what you bear and what you carry and what you have the authority of unless you are willing to let it go. No one is impressed by that. So I say to you, as the leprous man said, we need to bust a move. We don't have nothing to lose. In this moment, it's do or die. In this moment, it's do or die. In this moment, it's do or die. Man, I would love in this season to give me a new house. Well, a new direction. You have a realtor who is already available to say whatever you need. If you need help with your credit, let me help you put your integrity back financially. Then let me help you find your dream, and also let me help you create generational wealth. I have somebody here in my church that is already ready to help you do that. You ain't even willing to submit a pre-approval application, but you want a dream. The house ain't gonna come to you. You gotta go to it. Then you say, well, listen, I don't know if I need to. I've been saying, look, child, me in this COVID weight, I can't even fit none of these clothes. Well, you're gonna just sit there and talk about, look, I'm gonna tell you something. By the time the summer comes, I'm gonna get myself in shape. The summer gonna be here, you still gonna be roly-poly. The summer gonna come, and you still gonna be as big as an ox. The summer comes, you still gonna be big as a house. And you have done nothing but still snack your way through ideas, watching workout videos as you snacking. And you're going to be sitting there looking at everybody. Look at them. Look at them. I need to get myself together. Come on now. Come on now. There we go. So, yes, we need to do something. We need to do something different. Stop dreaming and bust a move. You have nothing to lose, but you have all to gain. There is a possibility that me choosing to move forward in faith, to move forward in courage, to move forward in boldness, there is a possibility that my life is going to change. My life is getting ready to change, but it ain't going to happen if I do nothing. The idleness is strangling you. God is giving you this time for you to enhance your life, not for you to keep making excuses. And the more that God gives me in terms of days, and the more I stay in the same pattern and the same routine and with the same excuses, what I am showing God is I cannot be trusted with more time. Because every day that you give me, I'm going to squander it. For every day that you give me, I'm going to procrastinate. For every day that you give me, I will misuse it and I will dishonor the gift that you gave me. I don't deserve. I'm good, God, at dreaming. I'm good at being optimistic in terms of what could happen. But when it comes to application and action, I don't have the guts to do it. But I get mad when other people around me are doing it. I get upset and I get jealous and I get envious when others are taking a step. When in fact I could have took a step too. Now is the time. So the leprous men move forward. They decide, let's go. Interesting enough, it says in chapter 7, where we at? Verse 5. Verse 5 says, they arose at twilight. Now, this twilight is not at the twilight when the sun is coming up. This is twilight when the sun is going down. They decided to go. Listen. I want you to catch this. Verse 3, they're saying, why do we sit here until we die? We need to do something. Let's go. They didn't make a decision at twilight. For the next day, they made a decision right then and there, which is convicting in that when you make a decision, you need to move with it right then and there. Stop saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to start on tomorrow. That's not what they did. The 4 leprous men said, listen, I ain't got nothing to lose. Because I may not even see tomorrow. I may die tonight in my starvation. I may die in this dismal situation. So now is the moment that I need to move. But it's getting dark. I can't really see that good. The visibility is bad. Things are working against us. Maybe we should go in the daytime after we've had some rest. Maybe we should go when we have more energy. He says, no. They say, I'm going right now. And they bust a move because they had nothing to lose at twilight, which means I'm doing it immediately. I'm doing right when the sun is getting ready to go down. I'm not letting my day end without me giving some effort and moving forward. I'm not waiting for a new day. I'm not waiting for a new opportunity. I'm not waiting for my new window. I'm not waiting for a new season. I'm not waiting for a new chapter. I'm getting ready to move in the same chapter I'm in, because I don't get a new chapter unless I am willing to finish the paragraph that I'm in right now in this life. So then they move. But notice, chapter 5, it says, at twilight, they started to move. They moved forward at twilight. Then I want you to notice this. I want you to jump down to verse 7. Verse 7 says, therefore, they arose, talking about the Syrians, and fled at twilight. Verse 5 says, the 4 leprous men moved at twilight. Verse 7 says, at twilight, the Syrians got up and fled at the same exact time. At the moment that the 4 leprous men got up off the ground with their sores, with their disease, with their inflictions, with their struggles, with their suffering, and decided to move forward with my struggles, with my afflictions, with my pain, with my problems, as they started to move forward at the same exact moment, verse 7 says, at the same exact moment, at twilight, the Syrian armies fled. Something happened, whereas that as the 4 leprous men started moving, the Syrian army heard a sound. The enemy heard a sound which sounded like it was a multitude of chariots and a multitude of horses and a multitude of soldiers. Now remember, in chapter 6, on last week, we had talked about when the Syrian army came to attack Elisha, the man of God, that he had prayed that their eyes would be open. And remember, when there was a Syrian army surrounding him, when God pulled back the spiritual realm to show him what was really there, there was chariots and horses that were on fire surrounding the Syrian army. Though he is surrounded by the Syrian army, there was also God's angels, God's chariots, God's horses that were on fire surrounding them. Now, he causes them in chapter 6 to be blinded. But now in chapter 7, he causes the Syrian army to have this unique sound that they hear. So in chapter 1, their vision is impacted. Chapter 7, their hearing is impacted. So now it is magnified that they hear something that sounds like, chariots and horses and soldiers. And they take off, fleeing, running for their life. They drop everything. They drop their weapons. They drop their clothes, the food that they had in the camp, the treasures they had in the camp, their plans that they had. They dropped everything and ran for their life. They assumed, here's the assumption, they assumed that somehow Israel had got word. Now, I don't know how they thought that because they had the city besieged, but they somehow thought that the Egyptians and the Hittites were coming in as allies to come and flank them from the back and to attack them as they were facing Israel. So they didn't have time to prepare for that kind of war. So they took off running and left everything where they were. Meanwhile, as God is already working in your destination where you need to be, he is also walking with the 4 lepers in faith. So I want to say this. Here's the point. When I am moving forward, taking one step at a time towards the unknown, towards possibilities, God is already working in the place that I'm about to show up at. He's already dispersing my enemies. He's already dealing with those individuals and clearing the path for my arrival. We, most of the time, before I make a move, I am calculating all of the factors that will preclude my success. I am trying to think about, what if this doesn't work? Well, when if I get there, what if this happens? And if I do this, what is going to happen? What are they going to say when I get to this point? What's going to happen at this point? God had already dealt with every factor that they thought that they were going to encounter. Here is the last point. Here's the last point. As you move forward with your decision to not be idle, it's not going to be what you expect. And that's a heavy one. Because in your mind, if I move forward, this is what I expect. But I am telling you, it is not going to be what you expect. And I'm going to tell you why it's not going to be what you expect. Come here. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why it's not going to be what you expect. Come here, Gilbert. Let me zoom in a little bit. Give me a little bit. Let's tighten this in. Let me get just a little bit over here. The reason it's not going to be what you expect is because you didn't factor God into that decision. You're thinking about what makes sense to you logically. You're making sense or trying to intellectualize what the outcome is going to be based upon how you can manipulate it. But what you had not factored in is the God factor. That when God is in the equation, it is not going to be what you expected. That God will exceed that expectation and it's not going to flow the way that you thought. Trust me, when you decide to move forward with God, it will be far better than what you came from. So let me move on. They go into the camp. They were astonished that when they went for the purpose of surrendering to the enemy. They went with the purpose of surrendering to the enemy. When they get there, the place is empty. Everything was still intact. Food was intact. Clothes was intact. Everything was still there. Man, them 4 lepers went bananas. They went in there and started eating everything that was in sight. They started going down on everything. And as they're getting, and then they started taking the treasures and money and started putting some in their pockets and trying to hide some. You know how we do. We try to hide stuff so that can't nobody else get it, right? It ain't enough. It ain't enough for me to get it. You ever seen a person in the store, or maybe you have been this person in the store, that when you ain't got enough money to buy that item, you like, look, what you gonna do is you're gonna take that outfit and put it in the back of that rack so nobody won't see it, so nobody won't buy it, so that when I come back, I can get it. Has that been you? Has that been you? Huh? I can tell you, I've seen my son do it, and I say my son do it. I've done it myself. I have went in the store. I'm like, look, I ain't got enough money. This is the last one. Let me put it in a spot so that nobody can get it, and to make sure it'll be there when I get back. This is exactly what the leprous men was doing, and they came to themselves and said, hold up, this is not right. I am operating in the overflow of God, while the people of my past are starving to death. And though they didn't want us to be in their midst, although they told us that we did not belong in their boundaries, that we didn't belong or fit in their box, it's not right for us to do this. Now, I want you to see the biblical principle here, because this is dynamic. They could have just said, nah, they kicked us out. They made us live on the outside of the gates. They give us sloppy seconds. I ain't giving them nothing. They could have been like that. But you know what they did? They said, you know what? This is not right for us to live life on a whole nother level and to watch them to still live life beneath the standards. So they decide to go back. And they go and they share the message. Let me tell you how damaging this is. They're so constrained by these social and cultural rules, as well as religious rules, they can't even go into the city to share the news, Gilbert. Can you get that? They can't even go to the news. They got to stand at the gate. The 4 lepers men go back to the gate. Where did they go? Back to the place where they were. And they had to yell to the gatekeeper, hey, we went over to the Syrian army's camp and we found it's empty. They gone. There's more food over there. It's everything. Everything that we need is over there. Grain, barley, wheat, cattle, you name it, coins. Come on over. The gatekeeper then takes the message and runs it to the king. They can't even go into the city to share the news. They got to share it from the outside. And I want to say this, that even though with parameters where people still don't want to accept you, that's okay. That's okay. Still have a heart of God to be able to share with them, even if they don't even want you back in their life. Still do the right thing. If they're unwilling to do the right thing, let you be found guilty doing what's right. Do not allow your life to be dictated by pettiness, but allow yourself to accelerate and to excel higher than how people are operating. They take the message back to the king. You know what the king says? He ain't like, oh yeah, that's good. You know what he's saying? That's a trick from the Syrians. That's a booby trap. I ain't that stupid. I ain't that dumb. So you know what you're going to take some people that we don't mind losing, let them go over there and scope it out, and let them bring us back a report. And the report comes back, King, it is exactly what they said it was. Let me say this, that when we are approaching people with truth, and I want you to get this. When you are approaching people with truth, because of your past, because of your reputation, sometimes they can't get past that to receive the truth that you give. Sometimes it is called into question because of your past. But that's okay. You remain anchored in the truth that you know and the truth that you're willing to stand by. And so the word gets back. King, they were absolutely correct. The Syrians, they have gone. They have completely fled. They're not even in the area no more. And they go and they bring the army, the Israel army goes and take back all of the spoils from the Syrian army. They win the spoils of a battle that they did not have to fight in. They receive spoils for a battle that they did not have to fight in. And I want to say this to you, that you will walk in the blessings of God in an area that you didn't even have to fight for. All it required was for you to make a decision. It's only required for you to make a decision. And so many people will be blessed. An entire city was saved because 4 outcasts, 4 disparites, 4 marginalized individuals, 4 rejects was willing to make a decision to do something different. It's the tale of 2 cities. They were caught in between 2 places. And I need you to get from being in the middle of between 2 decisions and 2 polarities and 2 places emotionally and 2 places spiritually. You ain't on fire for God and you're not disconnected from God. You're kind of like in between. You're not committed, but you ain't quite quit either. You need to make a decision from being in the middle. This gives a beautiful picture of redemption. The 4 leprous men went to the enemy. They were enemies of the Syrians, and they went to submit. This is a picture of redemption. Romans chapter 5, verse 10 says that we were once enemies of God, and we sought to be reconciled, and we were reconciled by way of the blood of Jesus Christ and the relationship of Jesus Christ. We were, like these leprous men, going to an enemy. We were enemies of God. We were enemies of God, and we came to submit. And because we submitted ourselves to God, we were no longer enemies. But God then overshadowed, just as the leprous men received blessings over their life and they took it back from where they came from. It is the same picture that God does with us, that I submit myself to the one that I was once an enemy to. And that he changed my life, reconciled, and because of the relationship, he gives me blessings. But not just for me to be blessed of myself, but it's for me to share what I have received. It is not for me to acquire and to accumulate, but it is for me to acquire and then apply in other people's life. That when God blesses me, when God blesses you, it is for you to go back from where you came and impact their life so that they can have a decision to move forward and to receive and to walk in that same level of blessings that you received in. It is not for you to get to that place that you ascend and then pull up the ladder when you get there. We've seen enough of that. Will you do something different today? Because I want to tell you, you got nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. Stop begging people on the other side of that wall to take you back. Stop begging people to take care of you on the other side of that wall. Stop going backwards to things that make you sick and that was unproductive and unfruitful for you. But you can't stay where you are either. Because where you are is not enough to get you to where you need to be. You're going to have to make a decision. And today, twilight is the best moment to do it. Because the moment that you move, heaven moves. The moment that the leprous men moved was the moment that God moved out the enemy. The moment you move, God will move. The moment you surrender, the moment you make a decision, the moment you step forward, the moment that heaven moves. That's why Jesus, when he prays, he says, listen, I want you to pray under the framework, right? Whatsoever is done in heaven, let it be done on earth. Let what is happening down here on earth, let it be congruent to what is happening in the heavens. I want my actions here on heaven to be in alignment to what is happening in heaven. I want it to be at the same. And so the moment you make a decision right now, to move, heaven will move with you. But you got to stop being a dreamer. No more snoozing. No more rolling over and trying to fight to go right back to your dream. Live it out. That's our time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. I want to take a moment now to thank you for those who have been givers of New Direction. I want to invite you now to please continue to honor God with your giving. Leviticus chapter 27, verse 30 and verse 32 states that the tithe is holy unto the Lord. Whether it's you are whatever that the field produces, whatever the ground produces, that is to be set aside as a tenth over to God. Whatever the cattle that you possess, whatever your monetary system, in verse 32, he says that belongs to God. You present that to God. You're giving back to him what belongs to him. We're not paying, we're not making installments to what we owe God. I'm presenting back to him what is already his. And then God gives me the opportunity as a steward to manage the rest that is his. And he allows us to manage this and showing him how much I love him and how much I care for what he's entrusted into my care. And the trust is really important because it speaks about my character. But more importantly, giving speaks about the disposition of my heart. Giving has nothing to do with the dollar amount. It has all to do about the disposition of your heart. And it's really revealing. So for the person who decides not to tithe, knowing, having heard that a tenth of what I have is not mine, I can't take it with me on the other side, that it stays down here and it's not mine from the begin with. But if I'm unwilling to take my hands off a tenth, it's a clear indication of the picture and the disposition of my heart. That there is still selfishness within me, self-centeredness within me. And giving helps to dismantle selfishness, that I am able to release that because money don't have a hold of me. I manage it. It don't manage me. But for many of us, money is managing us. It manages my decisions. It manages my relationships. It manages my emotions. Yeah, it manages your emotions. I'm going to tell you why. Because when you don't have any money, look how sad you feel. Look how despondent you feel. Look how discouraged you feel. But when you get a few dollars, tax time, turbo tax, look how good you feel. Look how good you feel, right? Look how many people feel good between March and April. Look how good you feel. Be like, oh, feel good. Look how good you feel, right? But then outside of that, look how sad you feel, right? So money is not to manage my emotions. I am to manage it. It'll be a good steward. So I want to say thank you for trusting God and obeying what God has commanded in his word. Also, I want to encourage you to not only just give in church, but also when the opportunity arises outside of church, that you see someone that is destitute, someone that is in need, please be a blessing. It is not your responsibility to be policing what they're going to do with it. The whole object is for you to show the compassion and the love of God. What they do with it is between them and God. I ain't giving that because they're going to end up getting drunk. That's not for you to manage that. Your job is not to manage anyone else's righteousness. Your job is to manage your own righteousness. I don't want to give it to them because all they're going to do is blow it. Well, that's the same thing that God has been saying. That's why he ain't giving you. That's why you ain't got all your blessings yet. Because he know you're going to blow it. Because he know you're going to squander it. Hello. You ain't see that one coming, right? So it's not my job to manage someone else's righteousness. It's my responsibility to manage my own. My own. So please, I want to encourage you to obey God. Please. For some of you, you need to just stop sitting there and step forward like these four leprous men. Be courageous and trust God and obey God. All right. As you're listening to me also, you say, listen, I don't have a church home. I don't have a church where I can be connected, but I'm looking as we're coming to the close of this COVID season, this pandemic that we're in. I know that when this ends, I need a place that I can go to, that I can connect, that I can have a pastor that will cover me, that will shepherd me, that I can have access to, that will love me, that will push me, that will honor me, that will serve me. Listen, I ain't the best pastor on the planet, but I have been called and selected by God. I'm not the most pristine person on the planet, but I have been called and designated by God. And if you feel that God is leading you to connect with my life and the members here of New Direction, it's a host of brothers and sisters that will love to receive you, and they will accept you, and they will embrace you, and they will serve you because we serve God. They will honor you because we honor God. We're not perfect individuals. We're still striving to grow spiritually. We're still striving to be the disciples that God has called us to. And if you feel like that you're at a stage in your life, listen, I need to grow. There is more for me, that I want to encourage you to be a part of New Direction. And if that's you, there's an email address that is on your screen. I want to invite you to now go to the email address and send me an email. Say, listen, Pastor Taye, that's me. I want to receive more information. I want to be a part of New Direction. And we would love to hear from you. We would love to pray for you. We would love to encourage you. And for those who said, listen, New Direction is not where God wants me to be, but I appreciate watching. I love to hear the word. I love to fellowship. Well, we thank you so much for the time that you have allotted to being a part and serving with us. So we thank you and appreciate you. And may God continue to encourage you wherever you may be and whatever you may be doing. But whatever it is, just obey God. The whole objective is for you to obey God. So thank you so much for your time, New Direction. Again, we're approaching Palm Sunday on next week. Again, I will be disseminating palms on Saturday, March the 27th, from 12 noon to 1 p.m. All right. So thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you guys on Saturday to give you your palms. And again, we look forward to celebrating on next Sunday as we celebrate 9 years, our 9th birthday, our 9th anniversary, 9 years of trusting and walking and believing and being a disciple of Christ. Great. God bless you, everybody. May you all have a fantastic day. And remember, today is a great day for a new direction. Take care, everybody.